Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope your weekends were great. Welcome to my Week 5 wrap-up. Pretty eventful weekend that we had. Good NFL games, good fantasy games. I'm looking at the scores, as I always do. Um, well, let's go matchup by matchup. I managed to beat Walter by 10 this week in a relatively low-scoring affair. The gods got him for starting Sam Bradford. With the exception of Steven Jackson, you can't really start Rams and get away with it. Chad learned that the hard way this week. In other news, Mason wins 2 in a row by defeating Wayne, who's now lost 2 in a row. Mason, his team finally starting to show up week to week, and Wayne was let down by some poor quarterback play there. So Matt Schaub with 3 points, not going to cut it. Mason wins that one. Jeremy loses his 5th in a row. He just can't buy a win. He had a decent week, 81 points, not too shabby. But Brad was riding Eli Manning and Matt Forte's huge 30, and so that just wasn't going to happen. So Jeremy still winless. Brad at 2 and 3 now. Cody, Snowman of the Week award this week, 67 points against David. He described it pretty aptly when he said that David put the Artest shutdown D on him. David has a tendency to do that to people. 90-67 goes to the Saggets. And then in our matchup of the week, that came down to the Monday night game. Al actually found himself down 2 points, sporting Randy Moss against Chad's Adrian Peterson. And it really, I mean, all signs pointed toward a Chad victory there, because, I mean, I don't know, I would have personally expected AP to have a monster game that night, but Randy Moss actually managed to outscore AP by 4 points, giving Al the narrow victory, 83-81. Al's really been impressing. He's at 4-1, which is actually the best record in the league now. Let's look at those standings. Things are really tightening up in David. We have, if the page will load for me, we've got 3 teams tied at the top of the division, me, Cody, and David, and then Walter and Mason, Mason who's been surging, are now 1 game back at 2 and 3. So David is anybody's game right now. And then in Goliath, Jeremy obviously bottom feeding. Then we have Brad at 2 and 3, and then Wayne and Chad at 3 and 2, 1 game back of Al, who sports the league's best record at 4-1. Looking ahead to next week, undoubtedly there should be some good matchups. I'm playing Brad. His team absolutely exploded last week. That should be a good one. I'm a little worried. Walter and Chad, a good matchup. David and Al, that'll be a good test for Al, and also a good test to the theory as to whether or not David really does put hoaxes on people, because if he can beat Al, who is the class of the league right now, and then we really may have a severe case of Artest on our hands. Mason and Jeremy, Mason's hoping to use that as a springboard toward getting to 500 and continuing to surge up the division standings. Jeremy just trying to buy a win these days. And then Cody and Wayne. Wayne's crushing on Cody's team. Hopefully his prediction doesn't exactly come true from his perspective next week, because he could definitely use a win to stop his slide. That's what next week's looking like. I'm looking forward to the games, as I'm sure all of you are as well. Everybody have a great week, and good luck this weekend.